Hi, I'm Marcia Hanson, and I'm here to just ask Christopher Hitchens to reconsider an idea that he promoted, that religion poisons everything. I think that's a very shallow kind of statement to make, and a harmful statement to make. And I also want to just ask Stephen Weinberg to reconsider something he said, which was that with or without religion, you will have bad people doing bad things and good people doing good things. But for a good person to do bad things, now that takes religion. That is a thoughtless statement coming from somebody that I deeply admire and respect, even though we're on opposite sides of the aisle as far as a belief in God goes. I deeply respect Stephen Weinberg and think of him as a good, decent person. And so today I want to just invite the audience to think through some things with me about human behavior. Back several years ago when I was at the University of Hawaii, some colleagues and I wrote a book called Macro History and Macro Historians, and I contributed the chapter on Antonio Gramsci and used his pivotal concept of hegemony as we analyze historical causes and social causes. So I just want to map out some things and see if I can get the audience to see my point of view, where it's not religion that poisons everything, even though there are indeed poisons in the world that we need to think about. So we're going to draw a line. Let me draw my first line this way, because one of the things I have problems with Stephen Weinberg's idea is even of good and bad people. We can't arbitrarily classify people as good or bad. Maybe we can call people ordinary people and then think about what kind of drives their moral character and their moral choices. So over here on a continuum of people, I want to start off with those religious and non-religious people. And so we'll put atheist up over here. And we'll say over here, these are theists, and we'll consider that there's a continuum across here, covering everybody, agnostics, just believers of any persuasion across there. But there's another line I want to draw, and there's a line that comes this way, and this is the line that I think is more important in discussing human behavior. It's not between non-religious and religious people. It's among people and choices that I'm going to use Viktor Frankl's labels for. When Viktor Frankl got out of the concentration camps, he wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and he pretty much divided people into two categories, decent and indecent. You're going to find those behaviors. So let's just consider those for a moment. Use decent and indecent behaviors. Now, my quadrants here, you're going to find the people of religious and non-religious persuasion. Let's talk about these indecent behaviors down here. What would we consider some indecent behaviors? Well, let's say genocide. Practicing genocide is something that I think universally decent people are going to say that's a bad thing to do. Or apartheid. Or, let's say, oppressing women. It's one that's near and dear to my thinking. Oppressing, I'm just going to put people, but I'm thinking of women. Anything that robs people of their freedom and dignity. And then what else is bothering the world today? Like gang and drug violence. These are big movements in society that poison everything for everybody. And who's doing this? These are indecent decisions. And who's doing these things? Well, as we look at history, we definitely put people like Hitler over here. We put Stalin. We'll put Pol Pot, Khmer Rouge, right? We'll put Kim Il-jung. You know, these are political leaders. These are megalomaniacs. These are people seducing whole populations of people and institutionalizing these kind of indecent behaviors that we see over here. Political people, should I say politics, poisons everything? Obviously, that would be an absurd statement. And people up here, decent atheists, have nothing in common with these people down here. The line that matters is this one. What's separating decent human behavior from indecent behavior? Are there indecent behaviors going over here among theists? Well, naturally, like, let's put the Inquisition over here. A dark history in a dark chapter in human history. Or let's put modern day terrorism over here that's got this hiding terrorism, right? That's hiding under an umbrella, under a veneer of religion. Now, what decent people every place want to do is lower this line. We want to lower these behaviors so that they're off the map of human experience. This is not a religious question. This is a question of decency. And it takes a more thoughtful analysis of historical movements to say what allows whole societies to be seduced and infected by these kinds of behaviors. When you think of the genocide that took place in Rwanda, you think of the Hutus and the Tutsis killing each other. Those were artificial divisions among tribal people that were stirred up by not concerns for religion, but by greed and any number of other kinds of forces that were deeply harmful to innocent victims. And the victims down here, we have a duty to the victims of these kinds of indecent behaviors. Now, it's not religion, and it's not politics. It's something much deeper that decent people in either of these categories need to attend to and not fall into the trap of labeling each other up here.